Good day. Mike Stenhouse here with the Progressive Land of Make-Believe Bad Bill of the Week. This week we'll be looking at the poster child for the whole progressive agenda, which wants to control our lives and our businesses, and that's their bill to provide single-payer health care, or as they call it, Medicare for all. Why is the bill make-believe? Make-believe, first of all, its name. The bill really puts forth a plan for Medicaid for all, which is very different than Medicare in the way it's funded. But they can't call it Medicaid for all because the king of the progressive movement, Bernie Sanders himself, said that a Medicaid for all policy would bankrupt the country. So they dishonestly call it something else, Medicare for all. That's number one. Make believe because they say that health care is a fundamental human right. Listen, nothing can be a right if somebody else has to pay for it or provide it. A right is something that's free, like speech, like religion, like thought. A right cannot be something that is obtained through coercion when the government forces somebody to pay for it or provide it. A right, a true right, does not infringe on anyone else's rights. Healthcare has to be paid for or provided by somebody else. It cannot be a right. It's also make-believe because they pretend the cost of it, the massive cost, $5.4 billion, could somehow be absorbed by our already struggling economy. We rank in the bottom 10 of so many factors. If we added $5.4 billion of costs on taxpayers and businesses and households and ratepayers, it could never work. And finally, this is make-believe because they pretend that government health care is good health care. It's better than private insurance. Of course it's not. Just look at the Veterans Administration. Look at the disasters with UHIP. And look at the disasters with kids at DCYF. When the government tries to provide care, they fail. Government health insurance is bad. Some studies actually show that poor kids are better off if they don't have Medicaid. So let me finish with a story about my experience with Canadian socialized health care. 15 years ago, when I was playing in a Montreal Expos alumni baseball game, some of you may recall I had a Major League Baseball career with the Red Sox, Expos, and Twins. Well, I was playing up in Montreal, and I hadn't played in a while, and the ball skipped off the AstroTurf and hit my finger head on. I mean, it crushed it. It broke it in 2 or 3 places. It dislocated it in 2 or 3 places. Blood, finger pointing everywhere. Team doctors, trainers took a look at it and said, wait, we got to get you to the hospital. Well, this is up in Montreal. So they called ahead, and even with the team doctors calling ahead for me, my wife and I had to sit there and wait 8 hours until we saw somebody. They finally fixed my finger, set it. I went back to the States. I went to a hand specialist here, and I said, well, who did this? That's terrible. That's terrible work they did up there. They had to re-break my finger. I mean, they numbed it all and everything, but they had to re-break my finger and set it properly. This one right here, and thank the Lord, I have almost 100% mobility and strength back in it since then. But he said if I hadn't gone to see the U.S. doctor, that finger probably would have ended up being unusable. So again, it's a myth that government health care for all is a good thing for businesses, for households, or families. Imagine your kid waiting weeks upon weeks to see a doctor, and then when you finally do get in to see a specialist, they give you substandard care. Government for all is make-believe. It cannot work. This bill must go down. Mike Stenhouse, signing off.